Hello everyone, back tuning in to today's second video. We're going to have a look at the weather for next week to 10 days for today's second video. That takes us around the 26th of August, and we'll be able to extend out beyond that for the extended GFS and ECM ensembles. That runs to around a couple of weeks, so it takes us pretty much to the end of the month now with the week to 10 day video updates. We've just released JMA Friday, so that's a month ahead look ahead, and it looks like we could get some settled weather sort of late August, but how long it lasts is a bit of a question mark about that, and September could see things turning quite unsettled. And we'll talk a little bit about that in today's in this video, this second video update. But have a look at JMA Friday, have a look at month ahead look ahead, and see what's going on there. Tonight we're going to have the fourth update for the late summer bank holiday weekend. So just starting with the radar picture from the weather outlook, it's a thoroughly wet all day across England and Wales. Rain is massing and gathering here across much of England and Wales. See some bright colours mixed in, indicate some heavy bursts of rain. It's persistent as well. There have been a few holes in this rain, one across East Anglia, Lincolnshire, one across the southwest Midlands. So not continuously pouring, but I think if anything the rain will get steadier and steadier across much of England and Wales through the course of this afternoon. This is how Euro 4 is forecasting the rain to progress through the rest of this afternoon. This is from Weather Online, of course. So there's a massive rain at midday across much of England and Wales. I think it's pretty accurate with position of the wet weather. 3 o'clock in the afternoon, 6 o'clock in the evening, just pouring with rain really across much of England and Wales. You notice how it just is continuous rain really. By 6 o'clock you're seeing, so this rain is going nowhere fast. It's going to be on for the rest of the afternoon and into the evening. Get up towards 9 o'clock, it's starting to move a little bit, although much of England particularly is still looking wet. It's beginning to clear from parts of northern England and North Wales. But then by midnight it finally gets a push on, so by midnight we're taking it away into the North Sea. Still some rain left across East Anglia, South East England by then, but generally we're taking that wet weather away at midnight, and certainly by 6 in the morning we're looking at a drier spell, although there will still be showers there in across Scotland. Tomorrow it's a case of sunshine and showers. Many of the showers will be in the north. Notice this rain threatening the south. In fact, it does actually get onto the south coast tomorrow evening. Saturday evening, thoroughly wet across much of northern France again. There has been a big question mark about how far north this rain is pushing through the course of the Saturday. That takes as far as we can go to 6 o'clock in the morning on Sunday. Showers packing into the west. I think we will see the showers becoming more widespread, if anything, through the course of Sunday and Monday. Both Sunday and Monday could have widespread showers across many parts of the country, and still pretty windy as well. So weather is remaining unsettled for the time being. Now, what came through in JMA Friday is that we may see the weather settling down a little bit for the final week or so of August, but then possibly turning a bit more unsettled again into September, which probably comes as a surprise to a lot of people, because there is this idea that September is always dry and warm, and certainly September as a month tends to favour dry, warm conditions in the first half of the month in particular, but it's not necessarily guaranteed at all that September will be an overly dry or warm month. We have had many Septembers that are pretty cool and pretty wet, and we did go for a run of quite warm, dry Septembers back in the late 1990s and in the last decade, through the first decade of the 2000s. But in this decade, actually, the September's tended to go a little bit more variable again. So we'll just talk about that a little bit for today's video. I thought you might find this interesting. So we're at the CET page at Gauss Weathers. We can demonstrate this through the century in temperature, really, although it doesn't tell you everything, but we can more or less demonstrate this with the CET. So we're back into 1990s just here. And this is the column for September, just there. Let's make sure that's October, that's November, that's December. So this is the column of CETs for September. So back in 1992, 1993, 1994, we had and 1995, we had generally quite cool and unsettled Septembers at 13.4, 12.4, very cool September in 1993, 12.7, 13.7. They were all unsettled, wet and quite cool Septembers. Things start to change in 1996. Now, the CT isn't anything particularly special. September 1996 at 13.6 is about average, but it's a much more anticyclonic month compared to many of the Septembers that had gone before. It's not really until 1997 that we have our first relatively warm, dry September. That one comes out at 14.2. And then it goes on into 1998 at 14.9, another pretty warm September, although that was a little bit more unsettled. 1999 is very warm, 15.6. At that point, it was the warmest September since 1949, been 50 years, really, since we'd had a September as warm as September 1999. Lots of dry, hot weather in the first half of the month, much wetter in the second half of the month, but a very warm month. Then we've got 2000, again, another, let's get rid of that and scroll up a little bit so we're not being upsetting the highlighters. So we've got 2000 just there. That comes out of CT at 14.7, another warm September, quite wet. That one beginning of that very, very wet autumn in 2000, of course, with the flooding rains. 2001 is a cooler September, 13.4, and then we're back into warm, dry Septembers again. 2002, 14.4, 2003, 14.3, 2004, a trilogy of warm, dry Septembers in 2002, 2003, 2004. Another very warm September in 2005 at 15.2. That was a bit more unsettled, but again, very warm with the CT. And then this run of warm Septembers really peaks in 2006, where we have a phenomenally hot September at 16.8. That is virtually the hottest September since records began in 1659. I think it's tied with a couple of other years, but it really was exceptionally hot in September 2006. Since then, September has tended to become more variable. So you have 2007, again, largely dry once again, but a lot cooler at 13.8. 2008 is a cooler, wetter September, 13.5, but rather unsettled. 2009 at 14.2 is a very dry September, quite warm, not especially so, but nothing about that one, it's very dry and anticyclonic. September 2010 at 13.8 is a mixed month, but again, not overly hot. Then we do have a very warm September 2011, 15.1, before 2012 falls right back to 13.0. Very cool September in 2012 and exceptionally wet late in the month. 2013 is about average at 13.7. Very typical September, that one. 2014 is very warm at 15.1. You see how we're varying now, rather than having those continuously warm Septembers that we had from the late 90s through much of the 2000s. Now we're varying year to year. 2015, very cool September at 12.6, but 2016, exceptionally warm at 16.0. You may remember got to 34 degrees in September of 2016. That was very, very hot indeed. 2017 comes out at 13.5. That's a cool, wet September. And then the last September that we have up to this year is 2018. Again, about average, 13.7. Rather a mixed month, not as unsettled as September 2017 was, but generally rather mixed and certainly not particularly warm. So this idea that September is always warm and dry is probably being influenced by what happened in the late 90s and much of the 2000s, to be honest. So September might be cashing in on past glories, if you like, because there is a lot of variation there in this decade, starting from around 2007, 2008. Over the past 10 years or so, been a lot more variation with September compared to like the 10 years before it. So, not to say we won't have a warm and dry September, because we only have to go back to 2016 for when we had the last one, and that was an exceptionally warm month, 16.0. As I say, it got to 34 degrees in September 2016. So we could have a very warm, dry September, but it certainly isn't as likely as it might have been around 10 or 12 years ago. And we should probably be thinking a little bit more along the lines of September being more variable than a lot of people are thinking that it is at the moment. Anyway, I thought you might find that little history lesson interesting. Let's get on then and have a look at the weather for next week's 10 days. So these are the GFS upper air temperature and precipitation ensembles next couple of weeks. The red line here is the 30-year upper air temperature average. You're looking at Telford in the Midlands today. So it's starting off pretty warm today, although it's an unsettled warmth. It's associated with a deep area of low pressure. But it's going to go cooler over weekend and into next week. Upper air temperatures going below average. Beyond that, through the final week of August, full final week now, as far as we get to with the GFS ensembles, is to the 1st of September now. Beyond that, so temperatures are lifting up. It is going to get warmer through this last week of August. We do see the temperatures lifting up there. And one or two hot outliers, not many of them. Just a little bit warmer for the final week of August. What is evident, though, is that there's not all that much sign of a settled spell of weather. So you remember a couple of days ago we were talking about the final week of August turning much warmer, but also much drier. Well, now that's looking a little bit in doubt, I have to say. We've got today's precipitation spike just there. Then we go in showery through the weekend into next week. But for around the middle of next week onwards, where we was expecting the weather to properly settle down, we've got all of these rainfall spikes appearing just here. Now, bear in mind, this ensemble chart, the new version of the GFS ensembles, probably sort of over-dramatises precipitation a little bit, so it looks a little bit more dramatic than it is. But nevertheless, in that period, we was expecting quite a lot of dry and fine weather from around the 22nd to, let's say, the 26th, 27th of August, which is this period just here. We was expecting quite a lot of dry weather in that period, and certainly you wouldn't look at that and say it is particularly dry. So this high pressure spell for the final week of August might actually be in a little bit of trouble, despite the fact it was quite well highlighted in JMA Friday today. It could be that this dry spell late August is in a bit of trouble. Beyond that, into the end of August and the very start of September, maybe a bit of a drying trend, but it's too far away to have much confidence in it. Temperature anomalies from the 16th to the 24th of August are around average, possibly hinting at being a little bit below. Precipitation anomalies look wetter than average in the north, a little bit drier than average in the south, so maybe a bit of an all-south split setting up over the next few days. This was a midnight run of the GFS. I want to start off with that and compare it to the 6 o'clock run. So midnight run of the GFS looks like this. Starting on Monday, low pressure north of Scotland bringing in this showering west or northwesterly winds into Tuesday and Wednesday. Well, there's the ridge trying to build into the south. This was supposed to be a big area, or supposed to become a big area of high pressure by the end of next week. It is ridging into southern parts of the country through the middle of next week, but we've got all of this low pressure and the jet stream out to the northwest, sort of rolling in over top of that ridge. So what actually happened, or what happened with the midnight run of the GFS, is that this ridge couldn't really get much of a foothold. It does try to build into the south, but eventually just slips away into Eastern Europe. And it's actually this area of low pressure here that proves to be the main driver of the weather, bringing the jet stream in from off the Atlantic. So we go into this bank holiday weekend on the midnight run of the GFS, and we do look quite unsettled with this low pressure starting to the northwest of Scotland and just moving down through the country over the weekend. This is Sunday, 25th of August, bank holiday weekend Sunday, if you like. And, well, it looks unsettled. That will bring showers or longer spells of rain to many parts of the country. The problem with settling things down remains, as it has been all summer, really, that we still have appreciable levels of high pressure around Greenland and in the Arctic, and also this mid-Atlantic ridge extending down through the North Atlantic, that's always going to prove an impediment to building in proper areas of high pressure from the Azores. So that's the reason we're having this big wobble about settling things down for the bank holiday weekend. Up to day 10, this is bank holiday Monday, 26th of August, still looking quite unsettled. It's not until the very extended range that we start to build in high pressure. We started, as it's midnight run, started to build in high pressure properly from the Atlantic up to Scandinavia, although even then, still a bit of a trough sitting just to our southeast. And by the time we get through to the end of that particular midnight run of the GFS, which takes us to the 1st of September, looks like we're reintroducing low pressure in both the Atlantic. So does it ever truly settle down on the midnight run of the GFS? Well, for northern areas, perhaps it does for a few days, just a little bit beyond the bank holiday weekend. For the south, probably it never entirely settles down, and we finish up looking quite unsettled by the 1st of September. This is a 6 o'clock run of the GFS, so this is the very latest as we're recording the video, just gone 2:30 in the afternoon on the 16th of August. And again, looking rather showery, very westerly winds on Monday. That's Tuesday through to Wednesday, so the ridge is trying to build into the south, still looks a little bit more unsettled up to the north. Now, the 6 o'clock GFS run does actually make a little bit more of this ridge in the second half of next week, although for Scotland and Northern Ireland still looking a little bit unsettled, still close to the low pressure, but for England and Wales probably settling down and warming up in the second half of next week. And that's into bank holiday weekend, so not as unsettled with the 6 o'clock GFS run as the midnight GFS run was, although for northern areas it never really settles down. In the south, it does look a little bit drier and warmer on the 6 o'clock GFS compared to the midnight GFS. By day 10, which is bank holiday Monday, we've got the ridge building in from the Azores high. That takes into a relatively dry few days to the end of the month, quite warm. By the time you get through to the beginning of September, again, it looks like we're starting to turn more unsettled as this high pressure pulls out into the middle of the Atlantic. So certainly at the very least there are question marks about this high pressure next week. Now I think there's doubt and there's uncertainty about it. Not to say it won't happen, but certainly it's looking more uncertain now than it was 2 or 3 days ago. Let's put it that way. This is the GEM. Again, rather showery on Monday into Tuesday and Wednesday. High pressure again building in from the south. So certainly around the middle part of next week, it dries out for much of the country. But into bank holiday weekend, again, you'll notice this low pressure is up to the north of Scotland. It's probably sending a weather system in that direction. So that could just turn things a little bit on the unsettled side over the bank holiday weekend. Although by the time we get through to bank holiday Monday, we could be seeing the high pressure building back in from the Atlantic once again. That's as far as we can go with the GEM up to day 10. This is the ECM. Again, it's rather showery with those western northwesterly winds on Monday through to Tuesday. Wednesday, the ridge builds into the south, but never really getting a foothold. Even on Thursday next week, still looking rather showery for northern parts of the country. And into the bank holiday weekend, again, it never entirely truly settles down. Low pressure is out to the northwest of Scotland here on Saturday, 24th of August, moving in from off the Atlantic, bringing showery conditions. And that's Sunday, so that's bank holiday weekend, Sunday, 25th of August. We've got a low pressure over the top of the UK, so very least it's going to bring showers, if not longer spells of rain. Bank holiday Monday, as far as we can go, day 10, Monday, 26th of August. We're trying to build this ridge back in to the north and the west, but to the south and east, it still looks rather showery even then. So this high pressure spell of high pressure for the final week of August is in a bit of trouble, I think. Let's have a look at the ECM ensembles. These are the options we've got on the table for day 10, which gets us to the 26th of August. We have 14 members of the ECM ensembles with above average heights out to our west-southwest, below average heights up to the north, doing something a little bit like that with the flow with the jet. So for the south and west, it's probably relatively settled. Could be a little bit showery up in the north. We've got 12 that have high pressure ridging in from the Atlantic up to Scandinavia at day 10. This is bank holiday Monday, remember, with jet stream pushed northward, so that's a relatively warm, dry scenario. But then we've got these 8 just here that look quite a bit more unsettled, with below average heights just up to the northwest of the country and bringing in the wind in that sort of direction. So they're unsettled for Bank Holiday Monday. These 6 just here are also unsettled with a trough of low pressure over the top of the country and a mid-Atlantic ridge. That's very poor for Bank Holiday Monday indeed with those 6. There's another 6 though that have high pressure centred right over the top of the country Bank Holiday Monday, and then finally there's 5 just here that are unsettled with low pressure out to the northwest. So a real mixed bag of options for day 10, which is Bank Holiday Monday. So we've got the 14 here, the 12 there, and the 6 there that are favouring mainly dry and settled conditions. But then we've got 8, and we've got 6, and we've got 5 that are much more unsettled. So the majority of ECM Ensemble members at day 10, which again is Bank Holiday Monday, are looking drier and warmer, but there is a very significant number of ECM ensemble members, very significant number, albeit they're a minority, but there's a very significant minority that are pointing towards a much more unsettled Bank Holiday Monday indeed, telling us that things are very uncertain for this bank holiday period now. In 2 weeks' time, these are the options that we've got. This is the final day of August. We have 16 members of the ECM ensembles with above average heights middle of the Atlantic, below average heights over to the south of the country. That's quite a cool unsettled scenario. 15 with above average heights generally out to the west. So relatively settled with that, but probably quite cool. 13 with above average heights to west-northwest. They're bringing in cool north-northwesterly winds. And then another 7 with above average heights out to northwest. Again, relatively settled, but also probably quite cool with the air coming down from the northwest. So a lot of these ensemble members are still fairly anticyclonic, even at the end of August, but certainly not particularly warm. And finally, just thinking about September, this is the 700 millibar height anomaly from the CFS V2 for September today. So it's going for an area of above average heights to our northwest and north, below average heights over and to the south of the country, and a ridge over in the east of Europe. That places us on the cool side of the jet stream, so that will be a relatively cool and unsettled September, with the jet doing something a little bit like that. The temperature anomaly is actually close to average. It's not going for anything particularly cool, but then the CFS very rarely does. I think it would be a cooler month than that is that's showing. Notice very cool September being forecast for much of northern and eastern America, by the way. And then precipitation anomalies, again close to average, always the case with these charts. I expect it will be a relatively cool and unsettled September though, based on that 700 millibar height anomaly, which does look pretty unsettled and also places us on the cool side of the jet stream. Potentially not that good an outlook for September. Finally, just say that if you're enjoying the videos at the moment, oh, let's get rid of that. I'm not sure what that's showing. That's showing something about Vimeo, so maybe we could do exclusive video content at Patreon. But anyway, we won't worry about that. Not be any pay-per-view or exclusive content at Patreon. So if you are enjoying the videos, however, and finding them interesting and informative at the moment, please consider becoming a patron for Gazzo. It has 64 patrons for Gazzo. It would be lovely if we could get this to 70 by the end of the year. 70 patrons for Christmas. That would be absolutely fantastic. But if you would like to become a patron for Gazzo, then all you need to do is come to the Gazzo Patreon page, sign up for a Patreon account, and you give an ongoing monthly donation to Gazworthies to help us pay for the website and also to keep content online. So again, that's how you become a patron, Gazworthies. You'll get a shout out in videos. We'll say thank you so much for your generosity and kindness if you do that. Of course, you might this mention that we give, you might want that for your website or for your business. We're absolutely delighted to do that if people would like to have the shout out related to a business venture or a website, something like that. Alternatively though, you can give a donation through PayPal, and this is Gazworthy's PayPal page. So this is really simple. Everybody's got a PayPal account these days. Just come here, sign into your PayPal account where it says login, and then you can give whatever donation donation you would like to Gals Weather Events. By doing that, you become a donor for Gals Weather Events, and we will give you a shout out in video as long as you want one. If you'd rather stay anonymous, that's fine. Just leave a little note with your donation, but otherwise we give you a mention in videos whether you become a patron or a donor. Big thank you to all of our patrons and donors for doing that. Right, so that's it for your second video for today. We'll be back later on this evening looking at the bank holiday weekend. You'll have gathered from this video that there is so much uncertainty now about this bank holiday weekend, so I'm not really looking forward to doing tonight's bank holiday update, but it's scheduled in. We penciled it into diary, and when the updates are scheduled, we have to do them if we can. So the fourth, I think it is now, update for the late summer bank holiday weekend will be with you tonight, adding in a few events and festivals for that one as well, I think, tonight. Tomorrow, weekend forecast, as always. On Saturday, you're going to have your weekend look ahead, and other updates coming up 2 weeks, saying the update. I think it's CFS 6 months look ahead as well tomorrow, so I know how much you want to enjoy that. And then on Sunday, we've got autumn analogues coming up for you, Gals Weather Sunday roundup, and also the ECMWF Metro France seasonal model update. It's all happening this weekend, so do keep checking back for all of the updates. But that's all for now, though, and thanks for watching.